Welcome back to the Fix Ops Roundtable. I'm Kaylee Felio. I'm with Parts Edge, and I have Sarah Vantine and Ted Ings with me. We're going to have an awesome conversation about just the industry, fix ops, of course, parts. So I'm just really excited to jump right in. Thank you guys.
Kelly, thank you. It was great to meet you, by the way. We've been doing these
Oh, yeah.
remote interviews for years, but we met just a couple months ago in Texas, and it was at one of your clients for Parts Edge, Snow Motor Company. So
Yeah.
fantastic, and
Yeah.
great again. Great to see you in person.
I know and it felt like I've known you for years. And Sarah, we got to meet a little bit before that, probably at a
Yes.
conference, I think I remember. But I just have to say, those pop up events are something that everyone should make the time to go to because the dealerships just don't get that light, that shine, and you guys are bringing those cameras there to show the not just the industry, but the dealership has all that content they can share with their audience of who they are, what they're doing, and it was so cool to be part of that. And then also, of course, to bring some parts people out of the because I think they're that was the part of their building. I don't think it's gotten updated yet, so parts was very very much in the back, but they like it that way, I think.
And you shined a bright light on that because there were some things they were doing, and I think you brought out the best in parts on several segments that we did there. And Sarah, just amazing to see the focus that parts is getting right now.
It is, Ted. And one of the things that I've loved about Kaylee's conversation and just, she's always shined such a light on parts. And it's so interesting, Ted, because, up until, maybe a couple years ago, we really didn't have that much conversation in the industry collectively about it. But then, Ted, as we've learned in the last year, it's been amazing to see just how much revenue opportunity there is for dealerships and parts. And what's even crazier about it is just those part opportunities turn into opportunities for the entire dealership. So this is not just a service or just a parts conversation. This is how you're going to find your customers that are going to buy cars from you, service cars from you for the foreseeable future. And Kaylee, it's amazing because you've been talking about parts for a long time now, but it's finally getting the attention it deserves.
It really is, and it's so cool to see. Being with Parts Edge for over 10 years, I can't keep track anymore. It's been a very long time, and just seeing how the industry has changed, and it was such a cool opportunity. Not cool. It's cool is not the right word. It was such a great opportunity because I love challenge and seeing the great parts managers that we were working with and how much we were impacting them. I was like, I was destined to like make it so that parts was forefront and seeing the amount of money that's tied up in the inventories is just crazy to me. It blows my mind. I just that's what I think I nerd out on is like the inventory values. And when I talk to parts managers and the great ones are like, this is an investment. This is how can I make the most money off of this part? And not just to like rip anyone's head off, just how can I make the most money? It's this is cash on the shelves. So
An interview that Sarah and I did not long ago with Brian Benstock, we had a lot of subjects to discuss, but the one he wanted to talk about the most, Sarah, was parts. Okay. He said
what
that was the biggest opportunity for his dealerships in the New York area and what he was doing with parts. And, not just on the retail side, but all around. Okay. And how parts was really now at the forefront of their dealership strategy. And it's amazing because I know he didn't always think like that. Like most of us,
yeah.
we thought about, sales and then service, and then and that parts thing. But now he said parts is at the center. And then most recently, Sarah, he said that in a study that he quoted as well at Northwood University, he said parts is the number three growth area uh,
Mhm.
of everything, all marketing, not just automotive, in the next 10 to 15 years. I thought, Sarah, that was fascinating. He said that's where young people need to be is looking at parts. So, and I thought of Kaylee. So,
Oh, thank you. That's a good point. Sorry, go ahead, Sarah.
No, no. Well, it's just amazing, Ted, to see, and Kaylee, this entire conversation just continuing to evolve around parts and
true.
dealerships looking at solutions for what's happening, in the marketplace and what's happening in, just different challenges that they have with retention, and looking at, their customer footprint. How do we attract more buyers? How do we get more people, into our dealerships? How do I get more marketing out there to attract people to consider my business when there is so many different places that I can choose to purchase these items from? And Ted, that was the statistic that I also thought was very interesting when he was talking about how many different leads and opportunities that Brian was getting to his store's website, and how big of a component parts was in that equation. Kaylee, it was something like, he was closing, it was like 10,000 transactions a month across sales and service and parts and everything. But all of, like, the bulk of all of those conversations that Brian kept going back to, Ted, it was talking about parts in that equation. It was, how do I get more visibility for parts?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
Kaylee, this is industry wide. Sarah and I won't mention the name of the bank, but we just met with a bank that's on the Fixed Ops Roundtable. And, the bank does things like financing cars, right, for consumers. And they have, many thousands of dealers involved with them. And what do you think they wanted to talk about? They wanted to talk about parts and service. They said, we see that as the growth area. Okay. And I mean, wow. I mean, Kayla, you talked about removing the silos, all right? I think that's actually happening right now.
It is happening, and it's very, very exciting to see. And the my conversations are less defending and more of like just the opportunity, and really talking about, the inventory and what is actually going on, and and if you really think about it, it's how much money are you spending on bringing your customers in, marketing, ads. And I think I say this all the time, so I feel like I sound like a broken record, but it's how many tools are out there for your salespeople, your service drive. There's not very many tools for your parts people, and it's okay to invest in your process and your people to make more money. It's basically making more money with what you already have. In a way, it's not like you're trying to buy a bunch of parts to sell more parts. It's really just being
Yeah.
more efficient with what you're doing to make more money. And that's really what we've always focused on for the last, I mean, I credit Chuck Hartley and Cliff Cope, the founders of Parts Edge, in so many ways to see this opportunity and living it out, and continuing to believe in it, because it is such an important part of the dealership. And it's so hard when you start a company. I mean, I didn't start it, but like, I'm thinking back, 10 years ago, it's no one was talking about it. No one really cares. So it's like, why did it's so hard to keep that momentum, right? And I really believe in the last 6 years or so, that momentum has completely catapulted, and we're having those conversations we need to have. I feel like I'm rambling, so I'll stop.
No, parts is the place to be. We're seeing now. I mean, you see it as well. Fixed operations has all this new technology, and now that's worked its way into parts. And I mean, there are things coming out this year. We've seen and heard discussions on new technologies that are going to make this even more exciting.
Yeah.
So, I think we're all evolving. The whole industry is evolving. It's becoming more exciting. Sarah, and these tools out there now are really going to help make dealerships more efficient. If you're a dealer and you've already got that OEM, you already have the brand, okay? Like Kelly just said, you've already got the brand. Why not maximize what you can do with that brand via parts? The OEM wants to sell parts. They give incentives to dealers in many, if not most cases, for selling those parts. Why not maximize that as best you can, Sarah?
It's so true, Ted, and that was another, conversation that we had recently. It's all the marketing and effort that goes to the front side of the house. You're looking at so many ways to sell a car. How many different ways do I list a car? How many different websites do I have this information? How do I get my purple cows, my keywords, my differentiators to really get my inventory into people's feeds where they're going to see it? And that conversation around parts, like, this is where your customers are right now. Ted, I mean, we were talking about this too. The price of new vehicles today, is typically $50,000 or more for a brand new car. And the reality is, you're looking at financing that and the payments associated with it. A lot of customers are choosing, well, you know what? I'm going to keep my car. I might have, some negative equity. And it doesn't make sense right now for me to move to a new vehicle. I need to pay it down a little bit more, or maybe it's paid off and they don't want to, resume another payment right now. Parts is where they're going to have to focus when it comes to repairing and servicing their vehicles. And so that's why, and Ted, it was so interesting to hear just how many billions of dollars are on the table in the next 5 years and how this market is going to continue to grow. And Kaylee, I mean, the data that these dealerships need to be considering in this equation. I mean, if we're going into the new year and looking at all these pieces, what are some of the data points that you're seeing that are like, hey, this is a non-negotiable, lowest hanging fruit. This is what you need to focus on?
That's such a good question. I would say that, you know, what I always hear in the conversations and just talking with clients and with listening to Chuck, is you make what is it, 20%, 20% or your profit is on 20% of your inventory.
Yeah.
So that's really what you should be looking at. And how can you shift that 80% into that 20%? So
Yes.
that's really what we look at, those productive parts that are making you money, your excess stock, your force, what's nothing that met your best stocking level, basically obsolescence, everything that's aging from day one, because if it didn't meet your stocking level, it should have never made it into your inventory. So those are the data points you should be looking at. And your DMS has it. But it's why spend the time to sift through it all. It's all, we can just display it right there. So that's really what you should be looking at, is your aging inventory and shifting that 80% into that 20%, because that's where you make the most of your money.
And Kaylee, forgive me, but Parts Edge, I mean, you've got the tools to help dealers understand this, become more efficient, become more modern, okay, and take advantage of all the efficiencies that are happening right now around them at other dealerships, because you work with so many. You see what the best of the dealers do.
Yeah, we work with all of the manufacturers, and really it's not about giving the parts manager another solution to our software. It's we know the weaknesses of the DMSs, and we fill those gaps, and we make it efficient, we make it automated, and we make it consistent. Because a lot of times what we find is some parts managers are doing some of the things that we're doing, but not as consistently as we can, and you're not able to break out the inventory into more sources because that's a lot to keep up with. So that's really the niche that we're filling, is getting more dynamic with your data, breaking it out, and providing a solution and support. That's the biggest thing, is parts managers have never really had that resource, a parts person to like call and rely on. You call a DM. I'm sorry, I love the DMSs, but call them and ask them what a phase in criteria is, or what does day supply setting they should set for these types of parts. They're probably not going to have the answer
Good
unless
luck.
you get lucky. You might get a good, really good, but yeah.
You're right, and I mean, same thing. Where are they going to go? The DMS, you've got the resource and solutions there. So, uh,
Yes, we do.
this time of year, Kaylee, we're all making our plans now for, the balance of the year, and we're, mentally already looking at 2026 and projections. And if a dealer wants to start the year right and start looking now, okay, what we got to do on the parts side. How do dealers reach out to you at Parts Edge?
You can reach out to me directly, or you can go to partsedge.com. We have a lot of resources, so you can do some research and learn about our process and what we you know um, talk about a lot of. But yeah, so you can just reach out to me directly or go to our website. I promise I will be very nice. And also, too, with this ROI calculator, I will happily run your numbers to show you how much it's costing you to not have the right parts, because it's incredible. And I'm nerding out on it. So
That's a neat tool.
it's very cool.
Congratulations on bringing that out. Yeah,
Thank
love
you.
it. All right, everybody. Kaylee Filio, the source, partsedge.com. Reach out to her. Her email is scrolling as well on the bottom of the screen. And Kaylee, on behalf of the Roundtable, Sarah and I want to wish you and your family and the Parts Edge family a happy Thanksgiving next week. And thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Kaylee Felio, everybody, Parts Edge, here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.